What's happening, y'all? It is Tuesday, November 7th, and we are here with Players Choice and your number one show, baby, Cowboys Nation. I got the Goat Romo with me. I butchered that all up, Kyle. I apologize. I got Tony Goat Romo in the building with me, and our boy Cowboys Beat is having some technical difficulties, but obviously we got a lot to get into. Obviously, things did not go our way on Sunday. We got a lot to talk about because I've heard a lot of slander between Sunday and now, and it's been kind of crazy, everything that I've heard, but I'd love to get your feelings on it. Kyle, how'd you feel about it, and how was your weekend?
Yeah, man, good to see you guys. Excited to be back on today. I've kind of, that was an emotional game. It was definitely like, welcome to the season. I don't think there was a game the season so far that got me at the edge of my seat. And man, I wanted this one, man, and it was right there. It was right there. And if the Cowboys were a good enough team, they would have found a way to win. They're not there yet, and and that's okay. It's we're going to week 10. You obviously don't want to be at your best in week 10. You want to be at your best in January, in December. Um, do I think this team can get there? I don't know. We've heard that story every single season, man. Like I'm 27. I've heard that same story for the past 27 years. Watching that game back, I've seen that a lot of times. Um, so that's where I'm at. I'm a little bit discouraged, but I don't know. Still early in the season. That's
I,
how I feel, man.
I definitely understand the discouragement because, man, I go back to that last 6 minutes of the game, and our defense comes out 3 and out. It's right after the Schoonamaker play, and they just, they stop the Eagles. We give the ball back to our offense, down a touchdown. I mean, down 4 points. We're down 4 points at that point, or 5 points at that point.
Mm.
And you have 5 minutes. 4:53, I think, what was on the clock. You have just under 5 minutes to run
Mm.
the table, run your offense, all three timeouts, and you got to win the ball game at that point. And I what kills me is all the blame that's being shoved at Dak Prescott. But my biggest
Sure.
thing that if I had to take anything to Dak Prescott, because Dak Prescott played an amazing game. I mean,
Yeah.
375, 3 tubs, no interceptions, solid game, good on the run. His O-line did not perform. Terrence Steele was abused left and right in that game. My God. Brandon Graham had 2 sacks in a row. Like, come on. You
Yeah.
got to be kidding me. That right side was used and abused. I think I saw some kind of crazy stat line like 14 hurries,
Yeah.
4 sacks, like just from him, just
Yeah.
from that side. Like, damn, man. Like, that's a
Well, the
terrible
crazy
day. Like,
is they allowed 5 sacks, and all 5 of those sacks came from Terrence Steele. That
dude,
that that's insane.
that's just used and abused. Just straight up used and abused that entire game. And he was a liability on that O-line, and it wasn't even against their best players, which is the worst part about everything. Jalen
Mm-hmm.
Carter was shut down, non-existent. Hassan Reddick really only had that one play. And
Mm-hmm.
other than that, he really didn't do much. And what's funny is I think that was even against Terrence Steele.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, dude, like this guy was
Yeah.
just annihilated the whole day. But my problem is, man, in that last 6 minutes, you get a gift. Because even after they punted the ball away with 1 minute to go, and our special teams blunders that away, because if you remember, Turpin let it go all the way back to the 14. He let the ball bounce, and they let him basically coffin corner that. I wish I knew the yards on that punt because it was a long ass punt. They got a
Yeah.
great punt after they had just shanked one to us, and
Yeah.
then we get gifts, right? We got the pass interference against Gallup. We get all the way down to the 6 yard line because of a false start or because of an offsides, and then a false start right after we get the 5. So we go from straight to the 6 to the 11. You get every opportunity to get in, and you can't finish the job. And let alone on the very last play of the game, you give up a delay of game And it's like, I get it. He was discombobulated. He just got sacked. He took a shot to the head. It's like, damn, man. But I already know that this man's got some feelings on it because he's probably been hearing about it all week. But I'm going to give him just another minute to kind of get settled in. But man, dude, it's so disappointing because I feel like, man, this game was in your grasp. You had opportunities to win. And how many times can you get absolutely lucky? Like, bro, the Eagles put the ball on the ground 3 times. The Eagles put the ball on the ground 3 times, and we didn't capitalize on any of them. One of them was at the very end of the game in that 6 minutes. And it's like, dude, like you see Swift and AJ Brown just bang into each other. It's a fumble on the ground. And it's like, man, they got so many lucky bounces their way in terms of turnovers because they should have had at least 2 to 3 turnovers in the game. They gave up the ball 3 times and we couldn't get it in our grasp once. It just killed me the whole day. And really, my biggest takeaway from that whole thing, bro, we have a problem on the ground. We cannot run the football. We have a serious problem with our run game. Our run game is a big problem right now because, dude, it's very apparent they don't want Tony to carry the load, and he is not going to carry the load. And we're not running the ball enough on a consistent basis for me to feel good about the entirety of this offense. And nevertheless, it's been forever, and I've yammered on for like 20 seconds. Like, I don't even know how long now, but Cowboys beat.
Yo,
tell us what the business is, baby. I know you had a rough ass weekend considering your location. So give us the deal.
Look, great effort. You know what? We all know what everybody's saying. The Cowboys have cemented themselves as people who can prove themselves at the top of that upper echelon. I don't really care. You should have won that football game. You should have won that football game. You're at the 6-yard line. You had a chance to punch it in. False start on Tyler Smith. Now, this is what I will say. The Eagles committed worse false starts than what Tyler Smith did. Watching it on the All-22 view, let me just say, if that was a false start, the Eagles got away with a few of them. But that's besides the point. In that situation, you can't have that. There was a delay of game in there. You can't do that. What are we doing there?
Let's play the game.
You know, Terrence Steele can't get beat in less than 2 seconds like he did off the edge by, I believe that was Josh Sweat. Can't do that. Can't lose a rep to Brandon Graham.
Twice.
You should have won this game. Flat out, you should have won this game. And I'm going to be honest with you, you're the better team on the field that night. And it showed by the fact that you outgained them. That was big to me. You're telling me Jalen Hurts throws for 200 yards. You're telling me A.J. Brown has less than 70 yards. I don't think they had a single receiver go over 70. I think they ran for like 120 yards on the ground. That's not that bad at all considering how good of a rushing attack that team has. You should have won this football game. And you know, it's kind of the same old story. It's, you know, you're right there, and situationally, you're just not there as a team. And you know, I get tired of the penalties. This is another game that you committed 10 penalties in. Now, again, yeah, the refs weren't great. I get that. But this is just a common thing. Penalties are a part of this team's identity. And it's been a part of this team's identity for the last 3 years now, and it hasn't changed. They got to do something. And honestly, look, I feel great about where this team is. No doubt about it. And I know I may sound negative at this current moment. But I mean, it is what it is. Like, I'm negative because you should have won that football game. And there's tweaks that you can make that I think that will put you in a better position to win this game the next time. But man, like, I'm starting to say, like, yo, if we continue to be poor in situational football in big spots, we got to start looking at, you know, talking about moving on from the head coach, because these are coaching mistakes. You know, like, there are so many times throughout Mike McCarthy's tenure where clock management has bit us in the behind. And I'm just getting sick and tired of it. I'm getting sick and tired of the penalties in big games. And look, here's the thing. If this was holding on an offensive tackle, if this was pass interference on a cornerback because they get beat, that's one thing. Pre-snap penalties, I mean, what are we doing here? False starts, delay of games, neutral zone infractions. What are we doing? That's not them being better than you. That's you getting in your own way. Again, if it's a pass interference and the guy beats you, fine. You got to take that penalty. If Dak's about to get his head ripped off, you got to hold the guy. But again, it's just it's frustrating because it's every single time this team gets in a big spot, it's something. It's situational football. It's important. It's not something to look over. And until this team fixes what they need to fix from a situational standpoint, it's going to be a divisional round exit again. That's just how I feel.
I got to tell you, man, there's a lot of blame that can be tossed around in a lot of different directions for this team because there's a lot of gaps in key areas that
I never said get rid of McCarthy mid-season. I never said that. But I'm sorry. I just had to reply to that comment.
You're fine. But I mean, the fact is, man, they're just not producing the kind of football that I don't think any of us expected. I really expected more out of this offense. I expected more out of the run game. You fed us like a bed of lies in terms of what we're looking at. The only thing that I can really take away in the true positive, man, is that Dak Prescott in these last like 3 games, I really feel like his game is like the way he's basically calling the offense. He's never had this much control. Kellen Moore always had a stranglehold over his offense. Every offensive coordinator he's had has had a stranglehold over his offense, made his decisions for him. Before, there was very few things that he was getting in terms of options pre-snap and everything else. Now it's almost like he's calling this offense. He's getting 5 to 6 plays at a time. And what was impressive to me is that he did it on the road as well. It seemed like he was all that same stuff that we saw last week was still transitioning. He was still running the offense this week. My problem is, man, this run game is so inconsistent that you're not getting any help from it. You're not there's no fear from the run game like there was last year. Last year, if Tony Pollard got the ball, you were afraid that he was going to pop it for 25, 30 yards on any given play. And Zeke, as gone as he may have been in terms of his legs and as overpaid as he may have been, he did his job in the sense of getting those nitty-gritty yards. He was getting those nitty-gritty yards that we needed and being the relief that Tony Pollard needed. And it's like, you should be able to find and replace that. And I don't understand why we don't use Rico Dowdle more. I don't understand why we're not running the ball more and controlling the ground and being more consistent on the ground. This whole game just fed into the narrative. And
Exactly. And that's the worst part about it. It's look, you do not have to prove to anybody that you can compete in these games. Everybody knows you're a really good football team. But there's a difference between a really good football team and a championship football team. And what you needed to prove is that you're a championship football team. That's what you needed to prove to the Joy Taylors out there and the Shannon Sharps. Because guess what? Their opinion didn't change on this football team. It didn't. Oh, they can't get the job done in those situations. I don't care about their opinions at the end of the day. But I'm just saying, when it comes to the running game now, this is what I will say. They have the personnel on this team to be to be as good of a running team as any team in the NFL. They have every type of back you can imagine. Rico Dowdle is that guy that can go get those tough yards for you. He's Isaiah Pacheco. If you give him as many carries as an Isaiah Pacheco gets, that's him right there. And are we going to say that Isaiah Pacheco isn't a guy that can go get you, those gritty yards? You have Hunter Lipke as well. Tony Pollard, I don't think he's necessarily, I don't know if he's a bell cow, but at the same time, you got a guy like Deuce Vaughn that when you used him properly, he was productive for you in a big spot there against the Jets and that incredible defense that they have over there. So to me, it comes down to scheme. All right, why do we keep pulling a guard and running Tony Pollard through A gap every single time? Oh, we're gonna go we're going to run through the left A gap. You know, we're going to pull our right guard. Oh, we're going to go through the other side and we're going to pull our right guard. It's so unoriginal. This is an unoriginal rushing attack. It's a bad scheme. And it honestly, my thing is this. If this was the scheme you were going to do, a power running scheme, like a gap running scheme, why not draft O'Cyrus Torrence in the second round over a tight end that you didn't need? Why not? It makes no sense to me.
What do you think?
It's just so frustrating because you should have won this football game. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You were the better team on the field on Sunday. Like you just were, and you had the chance to go prove that was the case, and you didn't prove it. It's frustrating. It's frustrating as hell. And you know, when it comes to Dak Prescott, again, this is nothing new to me. I know Dak can have these performances. Like I don't blame this on Dak. Look, we talked about it. How many times does this organization have to hire unserious coach after unserious coach after unserious play caller? And Dak's got to pull these guys on his back, and they get to the point where they're like, our scheme sucks. Go pull us out of just go save my job. And what does Dak do? He does everything in his damn power to go save that coach's job. Obviously, that's not the goal, but you know, he's got to win football games. And again, we're going into the Kellen Moore thing where, yes, the passing concepts I think are a little better under Mike McCarthy, but the run scheme is way worse under Mike McCarthy. And it's just frustrating because you need multiple things within a football team to work, and coaching is a big part of them. And Mike McCarthy, when they hired him, it was an unserious hire. Nobody else was trying to hire this guy. But, you know, my thing was, if you're going to hire this guy, at least let him call his own plays. Now he's in year 4. He's calling his own plays now for the first year. So guess what? He gets to go into Jerry Jones's office and say this offseason, well, I mean, it was my first year calling plays. He should have been calling plays ever since he got here. You know, it's deep-rooted, annoying things that has happened with this organization that has led to this point. But you know, we're here right now, and I, you know, I don't want to give up on the season because ultimately you should win these next 3 football games. Like I'm sorry to say that. I'm sorry if I should if to say that, like, I feel really confident about beating the Giants and their 3rd string quarterback in New York. I feel really confident about beating Carolina in Carolina, and I feel really confident at home beating the Washington Commanders, where at home you're damn near unbeatable. So you're going to go to 8-3. You're going to go to Seattle. I look at Seattle the same way I looked at Minnesota last year. They're frauds. They have a good record, but I don't see them as a contender. I do see the Cowboys as a contender, but there's levels to being a contender. Are you a serious contender, or are you a contender? So that's where we lie right now. Like I think you're going to be what's that? 9-3 going into this Philly game. And there's a very real possibility that they could be 9-3 going into this game as well. They're going into, you know, their next 2 games are Kansas City and I believe San Fran, and they don't have Dallas Goedert for those 2 games. They're going to drop one of these 2 games. I would be very surprised if they don't. But again, it's if you get into Dallas, are you going to make the plays situationally in key moments to win a football game? Because I can tell you this right now, you know, all these people are talking about how great the Eagles were situationally the other day. The Eagles handed you that football game. Teams that are great situationally do not hand other teams football games like that. But the thing is, you got to take that football game. It was there. You were on the 6-yard line. You got to get that touchdown. Sorry, I'm sorry for my rant, but it's bro, it's annoying, man. It really is. You should have won that football game. And like the more we go throughout the week, the more pissed off I get because you should have won.
Kyle, what
yeah,
you
there were
got, man?
opportunities. There were opportunities there at the end of the game. As much as I feel good about the talent of the Cowboys, unfortunately, the better team did not. The better team did win that day. The team that wins, that gets the dub, they're the better team, and they can be that for the day. And I mean, honestly, that final drive, both teams were doing their best to lose that game. And yeah, looking ahead, you have a pretty, I would say, nothing's guaranteed in the NFL. We've experienced that with the Arizona Cardinals, but these are
Yep.
favorable. These are favorable with the Giants. Again, we don't know. This team struggles on the road. There's a lot of question marks around this team. They don't have any identity. And so that's what you run into when you go on the road. You have to have an identity that you can do well so that you can perfect it on the road and go out there and get a win. Right now, they're 2-3 on the road. Last year, they were 4-4 on the road. And if you include the playoffs, they were 5-5. Part of being a really great football team is winning on the road. We know the Cowboys can play really great at home. I mean, they've put up great numbers on the road, at home. And so, that Carolina game, as favorable as it may be, I just don't know. I just don't know.
Here's what I'll say about that Arizona game. And, Arizona, I didn't have a great feeling going into that game for whatever reason. It's just that pit in the stomach type thing. Arizona has a very nice scheme, and they just had a plan that day to attack you. Look, I'm not, I don't want to revisit that game. Carolina is a completely different story. Their scheme is not great. Frank Reich has been a disappointment for that team so far. I don't think that Bryce Young is the type of quarterback that's going to be able – like Josh Dobbs is a much better quarterback than we're giving him credit for. So I do understand what you're saying, like wait and see, and I'm not blaming you for that. But I do think that they're different games, and I think the fact that the Arizona game did happen, I think will help them out. But, you talk about like this team not having an identity. The team has an identity. It's Dak, go save us. It's been that's been the identity now ever since he's came back from his injury. Dak, go out there and make plays. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as last year. What was our identity last year? Dak, go make plays. And, you were living off that until you didn't. But, if we're going to live by this identity of throwing the football, you got to use your personnel better. Brandon Cooks has got to get involved in this offense. He just does. Michael Gallup, look, here's what I'll say. I will defend Michael Gallup. That was a terrible drop on 3rd and 3. Terrible. Michael Gallup did some good things over the course of that game, and it's things that a lot of people aren't going to pick up on. There was a slant flat concept on the left side of the field where Michael Gallup carries 2 defenders and CeeDee Lamb's wide open. That's not going to show up on the stat sheet. That's a very good job by Michael Gallup. Okay. But I think that he might be the 5th best wide receiver on this team right now. And I think that Michael Gallup outside of that drop did some good things, but is he better than CeeDee Lamb? No. Is he better than Jalen Tolbert? No. Are we sure he's better than Kevontae Turpin? Kevontae Turpin's doing some really good things for this offense right now, and he needs to get more reps on offense. So they need to figure out, okay, is Jalen Tolbert our number 2 receiver? Because I actually think he's been a more productive player than Brandon Cooks. Is CeeDee Lamb going to play X receiver more, which he should? CeeDee Lamb does really good work as an X receiver. But this is kind of my problem with, okay, I saw this coming from a mile away. Like, this was going to be our identity after that Chargers game. I was like, we're just going to have to throw the football a bunch. That's how we're going to win games. So come the trade deadline, I was like, yo, if we're going to put CD at the weak side at the X more, let's go get a slot receiver like Hunter Renfrow or something. But then again, okay, you go get Hunter Renfrow. Are you going to use this guy? Because Brandon Cooks right now is just being used for clear outs. And it's frustrating. Like, they got to get Brandon Cooks going. And that to me is one of the keys that the Cowboys need to fix over the next 3 games here. You need to make some tweaks to this offense, because it's not the same offense that it was at the beginning of the season. When I mean tweaks, Obviously, you got to do something with the run scheme. You just do. But what I mean by that is, okay, now we got to refocus where we're going to distribute the football. Is Jake Ferguson your second best receiver? Look, I love Jake. I think that this kid's going to be a big time player in this league. And you want to know what? He's a big time. He's on the road to being a big time player this season. But it's kind of that thing like last year, our number 2 guy was a tight end. You brought in Brandon Cooks to be your number 2 guy. You have Jalen Tolbert on this team. I think Jalen Tolbert can make some plays for you. But again, okay, is Jalen Tolbert the number 2 receiver? Is Cooks the number 2 receiver? If Cooks is the number 2 receiver, how do we work to get this guy more targets? These are things that this offense is going to have to fix, because that's the identity of this team, throwing the football. I'm sorry that I'm taking so much time. I really am.
Rue, you tell me what you're feeling. Let's talk a little bit moving towards the week. Let's talk about the Giants.
Hold up,
real quick.
Hold
I
up,
just
guys.
want to say
we got somebody.
Oh snap!
Well. No, I'm just
Here
kidding,
we are.
guys. Hey, here's what I do want to say. I do want to take a little bit of a victory lap, and it's not on Dak Prescott. I want to take a victory lap on Brandon Cooks. I tried to tell everyone that Brandon Cooks is not going to move the needle at all, and here was my one reasoning for it. A guy that has been shipped away from the Saints, the Rams, the Patriots, and the Texans at this point, that's a little bit of a red flag. You just don't get rid of good players, and every team passed him around often. But that was the one thing about Brandon Cooks where I was like, I don't think he sucks. But when people were like, this guy's going to be the best number 2 receiver, no. He's an undersized speed demon whose best years of taking the tops off the defense are behind him. The Texans could use another wide receiver, and instead they wouldn't took, Beats' favorite wide receiver, Noah Brown. So, you know what I mean? So that's the only victory I'll take on that. Stephon Gilmore, I do think is very good. But now with Trayvon Diggs, because Stephon Gilmore was another one of those guys that I was like, I don't think he's going to move the needle. And with Trayvon Diggs out, that's obviously going to be true, but that wasn't really my original take because Trayvon Diggs is now out, and we don't know how it would have been throughout the entire season. But yeah, the Brandon Cooks thing. I mean, I keep on watching Tony Romo's videos every week where it's like offensive prediction, Brandon Cooks touchdown. Just keep saying it, and I love it. It's funny because he's not wrong. Brandon Cooks should be more involved, but he's just not involved. He's invisible out there, which makes no sense.
All he's doing is running clear outs. Real quick though, about the Brandon Cooks thing. My thing was he did get shipped around the league, but he was getting shipped around the league for first round picks from
early in his career. Yeah, he was. It was from the Saints to the Patriots. He got traded for a first round pick, and he was a 1,000-yard receiver. He was taking the tops off defenses. He was very much more in his prime then, and not to say he's bad now. He's not.
Yeah, no.
But he's closer to a number 3 than he is a number 2, and that was kind of my whole thing on Brandon Cooks when Cowboy fans were like, "This guy's going to be awesome," or I just kind of thought he wasn't never going to be that.
I think the reason why they were so excited is because they had Noah Brown as their number 2 receiver.
That's
last year.
Totally fair.
And Brandon Cooks and Noah Brown. Respect to Noah Brown. I do love Noah Brown. I love the player. When they got rid of him and people were jumping up and down for him leaving, I was like, look, this is a guy that worked his ass off for this football team. He was a 7th round pick. You're paying him no money whatsoever to be on this football team. The problem with Noah Brown was, the Cowboys were like, oh, we're going to get rid of Amari Cooper. Oh, wait, we don't have a number 2 receiver. And then Noah Brown was like, I guess I'll be the number 2 receiver. And they were like, all right, cool. This is a great replacement.
Noah Brown is a known Cardinal killer. So we're happy he's out of here.
I do, Ben, my take on this game, we were talking about it earlier. I was like, look, I knew the Cowboys could hang in there with the Eagles. I know Dak Prescott can play high-level football. We disagree on Dak Prescott. I think he's a great quarterback. I know that he's capable of carrying the talent around him. I honestly believe this. My thing was, okay, you get into those situations late in the game. It's not just a Dak Prescott thing, even though I think he could have been better in those late game situations. This is what worries me about this team going forward. I know they're good enough to compete. They've been competitive in their playoff losses. Why did they lose? Situational football and penalties. Poor situational football and penalties. That's the identity of this football team. So, when it comes to an optimistic take coming out of this game, I know this team can compete. And a matter of fact, it's not one of those situations where, the Eagles gave you the ball 3 times and you still lost. No, they didn't turn the ball over once. And you were right there. But again, it's situational football and penalties. It's a killer for this team. And until I see improvement, I can't see this team going past the divisional round.
Yeah, I think it just be people continuously point me as a guy that just hates the Cowboys, and that is just not a take at all. Listen, if there's a team out there that I'm not going to like, it's probably going to be the 49ers. So, there's not going to be any pointing at Dak Prescott and saying he lost this game. I know you'll disagree with me, but this was the best game I think I've ever seen Dak Prescott play for a couple of reasons. It's a divisional game. They needed it to stay alive in the division. Hostile environment in Philly. I don't care if their defense is bad or not. It is really hard to win there. And the Cowboys were in that game because of Dak. He was really freaking good. And my takeaway of it was the Eagles, I know there were some questionable calls for sure. I was texting you about it, and I was like, that pass interference, not great. But there was just the little things. And I kind of mentioned that in the show that I just dropped 30 minutes ago, the Ben Garcia show on YouTube, where it was the Eagles just seem a little bit better in key positions, and they're a lot more buttoned up. Whereas is Dak Prescott, I'm not going to blame him because Steele can't block anyone. What I will say is when you snap that ball, you have to be in there. And I heard James Jones talking about it today on FS1, and it made a lot of sense. You have to be in that huddle saying, hey, guys, it is being thrown to you, or I'm throwing it 50 feet into the stands. Of course, there's layers to that. You can't just have an intentional grounding penalty, but you can't take a sack. And on that first sack, he was trying to get rid of it, but he wasn't able to. But on the second one, it is kind of inexcusable, where it's just the little things for the Cowboys that have been holding them back for years now. I'm one of those people that I don't think you can win multiple playoff games with Dak Prescott as your quarterback. I think he's good. I don't think he's great. However, he was great on Sunday, which showed me he's obviously capable of great moments, and we have to just see that continuously for 3 games in the playoffs. But it's just the little things that the Eagles were just better at, because the Eagles, again, did not play a great game. They just didn't play a great game. They were trying to hand that game off to the Cowboys. And to put some blame somewhere else, they had 3 fumbles, and the Cowboys came up with none of them. That's a defensive problem. Someone needs to get on the ground and get the football. And it's just that little stuff where if I could totally see the Cowboys beating the Eagles when they come to Jerry World. I just totally could see it after that game. We'll see where we're at in week 13, I think it is. But it's just that little stuff that has to get cleaned up, which is to my next point, Mike McCarthy. I don't know if he's the coach for the details, to get the little things right. And that's just kind of where I believe. I don't think this game was on Dak. I think he kept him in the game. But I do think they have just some real details that they need to get ironed out if they want to go as far as I know Cowboy fans want to take them.
No, that's also I agree with that.
Just really quickly, thanks for wearing the Rangers hat and rubbing it in my face that my Diamondbacks couldn't get it done. Appreciate that, man. Thank you. I didn't have enough hate.
So I do, and here's the thing. I want to get this pulled up. I'll give it to somebody else. I do have the play. I'm going to get it up here on the screen. The reason why I'm not too upset at Dak about taking that sack, Kevontae Turpin, if he would have had, a half second longer, if Dak had a half second longer to get that ball off, maybe an extra second, he had Turpin in the back in the end zone. That's what he was waiting for. I do want to get that up on the screen when I save it. But Rue, do you disagree with Ben on anything he said there? Because I think he said a lot of truth there. I do think they're very similar football teams, though.
The biggest problem for me is the inability to make these key decisions in key moments. That's really the problem that I'm finding. Like Dak again had an amazing day. 375 on the day, 3 tubs, no interceptions, clean bill of health on football. Like he had a clean day. But when it came down to crunch time in those last 6 minutes, man, there were so many open areas where you could have taken it. You literally got the ball. When you only got the ball with less than 5 minutes to go, you got the ball twice. What everybody keeps harping on is the sacks. Man, for me, it was that 3rd down and 8 play when everybody's going and he hits Tolbert, who's got Bradbury draped all over him.
Hey, Rue, can I get this for a second? I got this play. I got the play up here. So I want you guys to pay attention to Turpin here, right? You see, hold up. Let me see if I can get this here. Hold up. Let me pull this up. He was waiting for Turpin on this play to get open. It's loading right now. You see Turpin in the slot there. He's waiting for Turpin to get open. And Turpin was starting to get open there. That's what he was waiting for. I'm not saying it was the right decision. I'm just saying that was what was going through Dak's head. He was looking at Turpin because there was something developing there. But I don't fault Dak too much for waiting for that play to develop. I put that more on Steele because, man, that was a play that could have been made. But I'm sorry, back to your point.
I mean, on that 3rd and 8 play, you had to have that play to keep the drive alive essentially. And you hit Tolbert when he's got Bradbury draped all over him. And the fact is, man, you have CD Lamb on the other side, 1-on-1 with Slay. And it's like, dude, hit your guy. If I'm taking somebody 1-on-1, I'm hitting the tight end that you hit all day for 91 yards. I'm hitting the guy who's got 175 in the day in CD Lamb. You don't go to Tolbert there. You don't. Are you talking
about the 4th and 8 when?
Yeah, the 4th and 8. I keep saying 3rd and 8. 4th and 8. It was our last play. It was our last play before the 2-minute warning, and it was right before we got the last possession. Our last chance at that play, which they thought it was the ball game. We still had all 3 timeouts at this point. It's 4th and 8, and you call a play where it's like, dude, you ignore CD on the other side. And I don't know how you make that decision on that. I don't know how you make that decision on that play. The ball where he basically throws it out of bounds at the 1st down mark. He basically throws it clear over Tolbert's head. No shot at getting it.
You're talking about the 4th and 8, right?
Like with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah. Now, this is what I will say, because I did break that play down on my TikTok. You know, Bradbury was losing on that route like a lot throughout the course of the game. And not only that, like Jalen Tolbert made some big plays for Dak. Now,
Tolbert made 2 plays on the day. It's the last play. In your mind, that's the last play of the game. You're hitting your 4th receiver.
No, I agree.
Downs of football. When you've got CD on the other side.
But this is what I'm saying.
Like
on
we're
that
making
play,
excuses at this point.
No, I'm not, because CD Lamb was not open on that play. He was double covered. The right read was to dump the ball.
They had the safety over top. But
no,
CD
you're talking about the 4th and 8 where he had the comeback route. There was nothing there. There was nothing there for CD. He should have hit Jake Ferguson.
50-50 on a ball, it's my ball game on the line. I'm not hitting my 4th guy. I'm hitting the tight end that's been lighting it up all day, or I'm hitting my number 1 receiver who has 175 on the day. We're making excuses. It was and not only that, if we're going to boil it down to everything, that was a terrible throw. Terrible throw. Where the hell are you even going with that ball? He's got no shot at bringing that down at all. You're going to tell me there's nothing on the other side? I'll take the 50-50 ball with CD Lamb.
Hold up, bro.
That when the game's on the line, you got to give it to your best player. At least attempt to give it to your best player, your hottest player. I completely agree with that.
You throw the pick. I can live with it at that point. At least give your best receiver a
look. I agree with you, Brew. I agree with you, because if you give it to your best player and it doesn't go your way, look, I can live with that. You beat us one-on-one. We gave it our best shot. I can live with that. But it's the thing that keeps me up at night is when you, like Rue said, you don't even give your best player a chance. And I understand the play. I understand the play call on 4th and 8. But you just got to draw something up. Like Rue said, you got to draw something up for the hottest player on that field that is dominated all night, that has over 190 yards at that point, and it was CeeDee Lamb, and they didn't do that. So I agree with Rue on that one. And that's something that they haven't done. It's not something that they just didn't do against the Eagles. It's something they haven't done all season long in critical moments. So I agree with you, Rue. I agree with that.
Well,
what kills me more, honestly, though, what kills me more is you still had another opportunity. You still got the ball. You still got the ball. Mind you, you got it on your own 14, but you got the ball with 50 seconds to go, 47 seconds to go, and then you managed to get all the way down to the 6. You managed to get all the way down to the 6 with still a miracle 30 seconds because of a 50-yard PI that Michael Gallup gets, it was the right call. You can bitch about it all you want. It was the right call on the play. Bradbury was clearly on. It was PI on that play. How many yards he got out of it is completely irrelevant. And then you get another gift when you get Ferguson. You get Ferguson another 10 yards on top of roughing the passer, which puts you all the way up into the red zone. And then you get all the way to the 11. And then they go offside. You get to the 6. Then you, like, right after they go offsides, you false start, which, again, it was close to call. But, damn, how do you go from that to that? You go right back to the 11. And then the sacks. How do you get abused on the D-line? And I'm not blaming Dak for the sacks. Dude, what am I supposed to do when I snap the ball, take a step back, and the freaking D-end is in my face? What am I supposed to do in that point?
Rue, this is the wide the wide view. There's nothing there for CeeDee Lamb. There's nothing there.
Right in the middle of the field.
That's what I said.
Look right in the middle of the field.
That's what I said. Ben, did I not just say that?
CeeDee Lamb or freaking Jake Ferguson? I said
yes, I said Jake Ferguson. He's open in the middle of the field. That's what I said. Like, look at how this breaks. Look at how this breaks down.
That's who he hit on the play.
I said that. I said he should have hit Ferguson. Look, this is 3-by-2 coverage. And people are like, oh, well, if it's 3-by-2 coverage, he's got to move to the one-on-one coverage. Yeah, but if this guy's taking 2 guys, you now have one-on-one coverage with the tight end. You now have one-on-one coverage with the tight end. If he's taking,
my whole point was that he made the wrong play on
that play.
Okay, fine. It's not CeeDee Lamb. You're not the only one who said Ferguson either. Like, I don't know why you're harping on that. I literally sat here and told you could have hit your tight end that hit 90 yards on the day.
Because you guys were saying
your best player is CeeDee Lamb.
You guys were saying
my same argument. Like, what are you doing? I don't get it.
Because you guys were saying they should have hit CeeDee Lamb on that play. There was nothing there for him.
I'm saying you hit the guys who have been lighting it up the entire game.
Listen. Hollywood Brown makes that catch. Is all I'm saying. So.
But I mean,
look, you hit up the guys that have been lighting it up for you the entire game. You hit you hit Tolbert with one of the worst passes I've seen you throw all night. And it's like, bro, it's the game's on the line. You hit Tolbert. That's who you hit. When he's got a guy all over him,
and here's the thing. Here's the thing, and this is my problem with Dak Prescott as a quarterback. He trusts his guys way too much, which is not like trusting your guys is a good thing. But in those situations, I'm sorry, that ball's got to go to one of 2 guys. It's got to go to Lamb or it's got to go to Ferguson. Ferguson was the read there. Like, he was the guy. That was the play you should have made. And look, this is what I said on my TikTok. Dak Prescott solidified himself in this game as a great quarterback, but he could have definitely made a great case to be considered one of the elite quarterbacks. If you make that play in that situation and you go into Philly, have the game that you have and you win that game. There's no doubt in my mind there's a real case that he could be considered one of the elites if he makes that play.
And this is where the people who make the case against you kind of prove their point. Time and time again, this is what
I agree with them. I agree with them. He's not an elite quarterback. But what I'm saying is that's his problem as a quarterback is in those situations, you got to know, okay.
You can't tell me in one breath that the guy's elite and he's a top 5 guy.
I never said that.
You never said he was a top 5 guy.
Ben, did I?
No. Listen,
never said Dak Prescott was a top five.
I've said in the past. Yes, I've said in the past that he's a top 5 quarterback.
He thinks he's like top 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Right now, yeah, he's around top 8. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly disagree. But that's a story for another day.
So we're off.
Listen, I don't want to do one thing and then say
wrong
another
often.
thing. And I can't. But here's the thing: I can't take away from his day because at the end of the day, he had a great day. But how did you finish?
But Rue, this is my problem with the team.
No, man, there's no excuse. The finish was bad. The finish was really bad.
I really like Rue. I really like Rue.
I went on a rant at the beginning of the show.
You can't ignore the fact that he had a terrible finish.
Rue, I went on a rant at the beginning of the show saying I know Dak Prescott's a great quarterback. I know this is a really good team, but they got to finish. I said that at the beginning of the show.
Can I butt in here, Rue? I'm just curious with you because, like, dude, there's no one bigger of a critic of Dak Prescott than me. But I'm fair and I'm honest, and I've already said it was an awesome day. There's not much besides the throw because I totally agree with you. I would lean on throwing the ball up to CeeDee Lamb rather, or even Jake Ferguson, rather than throw.
That's the throw.
That's fine. I totally agree with that. I mean, he missed Jake Ferguson. Great quarterbacks miss players all the time. I'm not going to harp on that. What I will say is, like, the end of the game really isn't Dak's fault. It's just not his fault. Terrence Steele's got to be able to block literally anyone, and stepping out of bounds. I mean, you could harp on that in the 2-point conversion, but honestly. But I looked at that play. I didn't have to replay it once. I saw it happen as it developed. He had Brandon Cooks open. He did not want to throw crossbody for that 2-point conversion. And honestly, I'm just really impressed that he was able to run all the way to one side and was this close to making it in. And as you know, Goat Romo was saying before, it's a game of inches. And unfortunately, he was on the wrong side of being injured. Like, this is just a really tough game for even me to die on the hill of, like, Dak Prescott lost this game. Because I think it's a combination of you lost this game because it's just a little stuff. Pick up one fumble, and it's probably curtains. Don't step out of bounds. Don't give up 2 sacks. And then also, there's just some dumb, undisciplined penalties that just aren't, like, I would love to wait until 3 weeks from now and Dak Prescott actually does something dumb at the end of the game, like throwing a pick in triple coverage to
so
one of the guys on the
him.
Cardinals. Yes. And like I would love to talk about that, but like it's just not the game for that. It's just not. This was about a game of inches where the Cowboys were kind of exposed of being a team that just doesn't do the little things correctly. There was the Eagles. I've quoted a million times saying the Eagles are the team to beat in the NFC, although I don't think the NFC is very good. They were trying to give away that game on every – my wife was sitting right here with me, and I go, oh, watch this. My comment section's about to blow up because this team just gave away the game. And I'm laughing because I think it's funny when people come at me. I just think it's not a great time to –
I've done that plenty of times.
Yeah, it's just not a great time to harp on the Dak Prescott thing. Like, there'll be a day for it. Today, it's just not the day. I think besides him not giving it to Jake or throwing it up to CD and throwing it to your arguably third or fourth best receiver, everything else, I mean, he looked really sharp.
There's been straight slander all over social media, and there's plenty of blame to go around from this team. I mean, special teams, defense, everything wasn't clicking the way it should be and the way it has been. Even like the defense gave up 28 points. How many times have we even done that this year?
Hey guys, I want to get your opinion on this play right here. I want to get your opinion on this.
It's Dak's fault.
Tell me how this, by the rule of the NFL, how is this not a touchdown? Hold up. So
Man,
I was told
I hate the ref thing. I really do.
No. That's not what I'm getting at here. This is what I mean by that. I was told that hold up. That was a bang play. That they were in his face. Hold up. I'm about to mute you. So I'm told by the NFL that the process of a catch is that you have to maintain it, secure it, complete it. He completed this catch. The process of the catch is completed when the receiver survives the ground. He was not a runner in this situation. If he was a running back and his knees went down before the ball was over the line, then that's a different story. But he has to survive the ground on this to even have it ruled as a catch. Because if he doesn't survive the ground on this, that's an incomplete catch. So my thing is, okay, if he has to survive the ground and if he doesn't complete the catch through the ground, it's incomplete. But why isn't this a touchdown? Like when they said, we're ruling the what did they say? The spot of his knees or when his knees went down. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, do we not know what a catch is? You have to survive the ground when you make a catch like that, when you're going towards the ground. So when he survives the ground, the ball's over the line. That's a touchdown.
Can you rewind to like right before the ball gets there? Like maybe like before it's even in his hands.
I'll try. This is
is he allowed to just tackle him like that before the ball even gets there? Is that allowed?
But I want everybody to. This is where he completes the catch.
Asking. I'm not a referee.
That's where he completes the catch right there. He completes the catch right there. That's a touchdown.
Yeah, here's so I gotta hop out of here in a second. So let me just say this about like honestly, you're probably right, but replay just ruins literally everything. I was telling you before, a couple of plays earlier, Jalen Hurts bombed a ball to Casper and AJ Brown ran in there to try to catch it. And it was all the way to the end zone. It was like a 50-yard bomb. And to me, it looked completely clean, no PI. It looked completely just like a bang play. And AJ Brown just came in. You slow it down in replay, it looks like A.J. Brown got mugged because replay just ruins everything. On that right there, I totally see your point. I don't really have a ton of arguments against you that not being a touchdown. But when you slow it down and his knee's on the ground and he has the ball like this, replay just makes everything look 10 times worse than it actually is. You're probably right, but you are arguing with a wall because it is never going to get changed. Because the NFL, for some reason, has like, when did we stop doing just like, it's a catch? And now you have to turn around, kiss it, take it all the way to the ground. You can literally catch the ball, run 3 feet, then fall to the ground. It moves, and it's not a catch. It makes no sense.
Exactly.
Like you're probably right, but replay just makes everything look way worse. You could find pass interference and holding on every slow down.
That's not my problem. That the pass interference wasn't my problem. My problem is if he would have went to the ground with that ball and that ball would have popped out, it would have been an incomplete pass. But since he got possession of it, now it's a catch when his knees are down? No, he has to survive the ground when that's the case. And when he survives the ground, the spot of the football, where it's at, is where the football should be spotted. And that was in the end zone. And I knew when they said, oh, well, his knees were down, I'm like, it's going to get overturned. And it shouldn't, because, why can't we figure out what a catch is? A catch is he gets to the ground, he survives the ground. If the ball's in his hands, it's a catch. And where the ball is when he survives the ground is where the ball is spotted. And look, it's easy to point at something like that and say, like, in that situation, it's annoying. But look, the Cowboys had plenty of opportunities to win this football game. Don't kick the ball out of bounds. Don't commit a face mask on a kickoff. Don't have a bunch of pre-snap penalties. Maybe get a fumble when they put the ball on the ground 4 times. Go pick up one of those balls. Pause. But that's beside. That was my thing. But like, going back to that play in particular, it's a very interesting talking point.
We're gonna get an apology from the NFL. We got the call wrong. That's what's gonna happen. Like a few weeks, they're gonna be, oh yeah, that was the wrong play.
I'm sorry. Is that Barack Obama telling us the wrong call, or is that Roger Goodell?
Yes.
Because you kind of sounded like you wanted some change.
Played their best game of the season and lost. They didn't play their best game of the season. Absolutely not. Somebody commented that. Absolutely not. Now, when you commit the type of penalties that they committed and miss the opportunities that they missed, they absolutely didn't play their best game in this game. I completely disagree with that. And look, here's the thing. If you play this team 3 times, Washington was this close to beating them that second time. And I think if they play a third time, I think they have such an understanding of that football team. I think they get the job done. And I think the more you see this Philly team, one thing with Philly with me is they have so much talent, they just overwhelm you. And when you get in the game and you realize, oh wait, they bleed just like me. Then you realize, oh, we can actually go win this game.
3 times last season.
What's that? Yeah, but look. Yeah, but see, here's the thing. The difference is, it's different from the standpoint of the Giants, for some reason, just couldn't figure out that team. Yeah, and they're the Giants.
That's really what it is.
And let's be honest. Bro. Let's be honest. Let's be honest, Ben. I know you probably have to head out soon, but who's the better quarterback?
It was
Sam. Real quick, Sam Howell or Daniel Jones?
Are you asking me?
Sam Howell or Daniel Jones?
Wow, it's like asking me which kid I hate more.
Oh, that's easy money for me. Sam Howell.
I think Sam Howell is better, but that's like kind of dressing up a piece of garbage and then
no, I don't think he's garbage at all.
No, I'm just kidding. I actually really wanted to say that about Daniel Jones. Sam Howell has shown me promise. I don't have a good enough opinion of him yet, but he is absolutely better than Daniel Jones at this point. He throws the ball better. He reads the defense better. His footwork is better. The only thing Daniel Jones does better is he's probably better out of the pocket just because he can make up plays on his own. Everything else, it's just Daniel Jones is not good, guys. And the Giants talked themselves into thinking they had the next Eli Manning for a guy that I think had like 12 touchdown passes. This is a glare. Had like 12 touchdown passes last year, but not good.
Real quick before you leave, where can they find you at?
You guys can find my YouTube at Ben Garcia Show. You guys can follow me on Instagram at I am Benjamin Garcia. TikTok, Ben Garcia Show. And you don't really want to follow me on Twitter. I don't use it that much. It kind of sucked ever since Elon Musk got it. So appreciate it, guys. Kyler Murray is coming back. So you guys officially have the 12th best quarterback because Kyler Murray is coming back and he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And what's going to happen?
Going to be your quarterback by the end of the year? You really,
dude? Don't listen to anyone that. Dude, if the Cardinals waste my time again by starting Clayton Tune in my life, I might just go be
that dude is terrible.
Listen,
water's wet.
Probably. What I will say is like it was the number 1 defense. He is a 5th round rookie. Maybe he could be a backup, but also I don't really care. Kyler Murray is going to be the quarterback of this team next year.
Why didn't he play last week? I'm just curious.
Because first off, Jonathan Gannon is playing. First off, I think Jonathan Gannon is awesome, and I was totally wrong about him. But he acts like Bill Belichick way too much in the press conferences, and he's like, I don't know, maybe he will play. Dude, on Friday, he said that he'll make a decision on the quarterback on the team playing. He's just trolling everyone at this point. It doesn't make sense to bring him. I'll just quickly. It didn't make sense to bring him back last week against. You're coming back from a torn ACL. It's the number 1 defense in the NFL. I think I'd rather bring him back against Arthur Smith and the Falcons at home than on the road in Cleveland. Like that does make sense to me. But also like Kyler Murray's awesome, and I can't wait to see him play. And he will absolutely be the quarterback next year of the Cardinals. And I wasn't on that train to start the season. I was like, we could get Caleb Williams. Awesome. But after Caleb Williams was crying in the crowd after losing his 3rd game of the year, there's some character issues there that are starting to kind of push me away from Caleb Williams. But anyways,
100%.
Good ones, guys.
All right, Ben.
Have a good one. Stay safe. Fly Eagles fly and stay safe.
Oh, darn it. I thought you were going to say go Cowboys, man. I thought. All right. Well, that's pretty much it for the show. Gentlemen, it was nice talking to you guys. Hey, Kyle, I missed talking to you, my friend.
I know, man. It's been a while. We were texting a little bit the other day, but it's good to be back.
Yeah, because my Sixers beat your Suns, but that's besides the point.
Man, I know. You're right, though. Maxey looks great. He's taking a step. Embiid. Hey, man, you never know. But
I don't get my hopes up too high.
More predictions for Cowboys and Giants?
No, I'm just joking.
I got 52.
I'll go. You want to know what? I'll go. I mean, is it all right to predict it? Well, I got 34-10.
Yeah, that's in the wheelhouse.
I mean, they have Danny DeVito as their quarterback.
Pretty much on the money for me. Sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't want to spend. Look, that game is it's obviously it's another
Let's
game
see if they get
in
a
the
point
season.
this time.
But my thing was I think we needed to spend more time on the Eagles. But that's besides the point. All right, gentlemen, I will see you guys later. Thanks everybody for coming out. Appreciate you.